Hello, JikookVerse family. Welcome back to JikookVerse. Today we're talking about the moment that had everyone inside Rogersstadium holding their breath before the concert even began. No stage lights, no official cameras, no dramatic performance. Just an ordinary sound check that suddenly became unforgettable when Jimin's microphone stopped working. And Jungkook quietly walked over, lifted his own mic, and invited Jimin to sing with him. If you've been wondering what really unfolded during day one of Soundcheck in Toronto, Canada, stay with me because this story is filled with the kind of small moments that fans remember forever. The gates had not officially opened for the full crowd yet. Only the lucky fans attending Soundcheck were already inside Rogersstadium, watching the members casually prepare for the biggest night ahead. The atmosphere felt completely different from the polished concert everyone would eventually see. This was relaxed, playful, and surprisingly intimate. The members wandered across the massive stage wearing comfortable rehearsal outfits instead of glamorous performance costumes. Staff members moved quietly between equipment. Musicians tested instruments. Speakers echoed short vocal lines across the empty seats. Every sound bounced through the enormous stadium, making even a simple laugh feel larger than life. Jimin stepped toward center stage with his handheld microphone, smiling as he greeted the audience with a soft wave. He looked completely at ease, exchanging little comments with the fans close enough to hear him. Beside him, Taehyung stretched his shoulders while Namjoon chatted with the band. Hoseok practiced a few dance steps near the front runway, and Jin jokingly pretended to conduct the live musicians like an orchestra director. Meanwhile, Jungkook stood several meters away near the extended platform, testing his own in-ear monitors. He sang a few effortless notes, listened carefully to the playback, and nodded toward the audio engineers. Everything appeared perfectly normal, until it wasn't. Jimin lifted his microphone and began singing a familiar melody for the Soundcheck audience. The first line came through beautifully. Then, halfway into the next phrase, the audio suddenly disappeared. His lips continued moving. The stadium speakers stayed silent. For a brief second, everyone thought it was intentional. Jimin stopped singing and looked down at the microphone. He tapped it lightly with his finger. Tap, tap, nothing. He smiled awkwardly, almost laughing at the unexpected technical problem. The audience responded with encouraging cheers instead of disappointment. After all, Soundcheck existed exactly for moments like these. Equipment failed. Adjustments happened. Nobody expected perfection. One of the audio staff immediately raised a hand from the production area, signaling that they had noticed the issue. Another crew member began reaching for a replacement microphone backstage. Jimin waited patiently. He lifted the mic again. Hello? Silence. He tilted his head with that adorable, confused expression fans knew so well, then shrugged dramatically toward the audience as if saying, "Well, I tried." The entire stadium laughed. What happened next lasted only a few seconds, but it instantly became the memory everyone would keep talking about. From the opposite side of the stage, Jungkook noticed everything. He wasn't looking toward the audience anymore. He was looking directly at Jimin. Instead of waiting for staff to solve the problem, Jungkook casually started walking across the stage with his own microphone still in hand. There was no announcement. No attempt to draw attention. It felt like pure instinct. Fans watched him cross the distance between them. Jimin noticed him approaching and smiled before either of them said a word. When Jungkook finally reached him, he lifted his microphone slightly between them and nodded as if asking the simplest question in the world. Want to share? Jimin's eyes widened for just a moment before he laughed. Without hesitation, he stepped closer. The audience erupted. Suddenly, two voices became one performance. Jungkook adjusted the microphone so it sat perfectly between both of them. Instead of holding it close to himself, he naturally positioned it in the middle, making sure Jimin had equal space to sing. It was such a tiny gesture, but somehow, it spoke louder than any dramatic speech. They leaned in together. Their shoulders nearly touched. The band quietly continued playing while the two of them sang into a single microphone as though they had rehearsed it 100 times before. The harmony sounded surprisingly warm. Without separate microphones, they instinctively balanced their volume. Jungkook softened his powerful projection whenever Jimin entered a line, and Jimin leaned in just enough to blend naturally with him. The sound engineers paused for a second. Even they smiled. There was no rush to interrupt the moment. The fans inside Rogersstadium immediately recognized that something special was happening. Phones stayed lifted, but many people forgot to press record because they were too busy smiling at what they were witnessing with their own eyes. Jimin couldn't stop laughing between lyrics. Every time their faces came a little too close while reaching the microphone, he broke into another grin. Jungkook noticed. Instead of moving away, he laughed too. The song became less about perfect vocals and more about enjoying the unexpected situation together. After finishing the short chorus, Jimin jokingly pointed at his broken microphone as if accusing it of ruining his solo moment. Jungkook answered by raising one eyebrow and lifting his own microphone a little higher. The audience screamed again. It almost looked like he was saying, "We're fine. We've got this." Staff members were already hurrying toward them with a replacement microphone. But before the crew could arrive, Jungkook intentionally started another melody. Jimin immediately joined him, still one microphone, still standing shoulder to shoulder. The replacement microphone suddenly became the least important object on stage. Even the musicians seemed amused by the spontaneous duet. The guitarist smiled while glancing toward the drummer. A keyboard player quietly added softer chords beneath their voices, turning an ordinary equipment test into something that felt surprisingly emotional. This was the beautiful thing about rehearsals. Nothing needed to be perfect. Sometimes perfection happened precisely because nobody planned it. The fans closest to the stage began clapping along, not because anyone asked them to, but because the shared microphone somehow created a cozy atmosphere despite the enormous stadium surrounding them. It no longer felt like 70,000 seats. It felt like one room. Jimin eventually accepted the replacement microphone from the staff member, bowing politely in appreciation. Everyone expected him to step away and continue the rehearsal normally. Instead, he looked at the new microphone, then looked back at Jungkook, then mischievously lowered it. For one more line, he deliberately ignored his perfectly functioning microphone and leaned back into Jungkook's mic. The audience absolutely lost it. Jungkook burst into laughter so hard that he almost missed his cue. The staff member covering their mouth while laughing became another unforgettable detail. Even the professionals couldn't hide their reactions anymore. Finally, Jimin lifted his own microphone and tested it. "Can you hear me now?" His voice echoed loudly across the stadium. The audience cheered. Jimin celebrated like someone who had just won a championship, throwing both arms into the air. Jungkook applauded dramatically beside him. Their playful energy spread across every corner of Rogersstadium. What made the moment even sweeter was how naturally they returned to rehearsal afterward. There was no attempt to make it feel important. They simply continued singing, joking with the members, and preparing for the concert ahead. Yet fans knew they had witnessed something unique. Sometimes the smallest interactions leave the deepest impressions. Throughout the rest of Soundcheck, the members continued teasing one another. Jin asked whether the microphones deserved a vacation after working so hard. Hoseok pretended to interview the broken mic like a news reporter, making everyone laugh again. Namjoon thanked the audience for being patient during the technical adjustments, while Taehyung dramatically acted like a security guard, protecting the new microphone from any future accidents. Jimin couldn't resist pointing toward Jungkook every time someone mentioned microphones. Jungkook immediately shook his head as if saying, "Don't drag me into this." Of course, that only made everyone laugh harder. Fans later described the atmosphere as incredibly warm. Instead of feeling embarrassed by the technical issue, the members transformed it into entertainment within seconds. That effortless teamwork reminded everyone why rehearsals often reveal personalities more honestly than polished concerts. There was another detail that many people inside the stadium noticed. Whenever Jimin sang after receiving the replacement microphone, Jungkook subtly glanced toward him during nearly every vocal line. Not in an obvious way, but with the quiet habit of someone checking whether everything was finally working properly. Jimin noticed those little looks. Each time their eyes met, He answered with a tiny smile before continuing the song. No words were necessary. The audience understood anyway. As Soundcheck continued, the band moved into different songs to balance levels for the evening performance. Lighting crews tested cues. Giant screens flashed colors across the empty seats. Pyrotechnic staff discussed timing near the side stage. Yet somehow, conversations among fans kept returning to the same scene. Did you see how fast Jungkook walked over? Did you notice he held the microphone in the middle? Did you catch Jimin choosing to keep sharing it even after getting a new one? Everyone had noticed different details. Everyone had their own favorite second. That's what makes live moments magical. No two people experience them exactly the same way. From the host booth high above the stadium, production staff resumed checking audio frequencies. The brief malfunction had already been solved. Technically speaking, it was just another successful equipment test. Emotionally speaking, it had become something much bigger. Imagine standing on a stage large enough to fit thousands upon thousands of people. Imagine hearing your microphone suddenly disappear in the middle of singing. Most performers would simply stop and wait for a replacement. Jimin laughed. And before anyone else solved the problem, Jungkook quietly became the solution. Not through a dramatic rescue, just by sharing what he already had. One microphone, two voices, that image lingered throughout the entire afternoon. Later in rehearsal, the members gathered near the front edge of the stage to greet different sections of the audience. They waved enthusiastically, accepted funny signs from fans to read aloud, and joked about whose in-ear monitors behaved the best. Someone in the audience held up a sign that read, "Protect the microphones." Jimin saw it first. He laughed so loudly that he bent forward. Before he could say anything, Jungkook pointed directly at him with a playful expression that immediately sent the crowd into another wave of cheers. Jimin defended himself by insisting the microphone had started the argument. Jungkook dramatically nodded like a serious judge delivering an official verdict. Even the members standing nearby started laughing without needing further explanation. The broken microphone had somehow become the running joke of the day. There's something refreshing about seeing artists during soundcheck instead of the finished performance. Concerts are filled with precision. Every camera angle, every lighting cue, every costume change happens according to plan. Soundcheck is different. It's where mistakes become memories, where laughter interrupts lyrics, where unfinished moments sometimes feel more genuine than flawless performances. That was exactly the feeling inside Rogersstadium. The afternoon sunlight filtered through parts of the open structure, casting soft shadows across the stage floor. Without dramatic concert lighting, everything looked surprisingly natural. Fans could clearly see expressions, eye contact, and tiny reactions that giant screens sometimes miss during nighttime performances. Jimin looked especially relaxed. Between songs, he sat briefly on the edge of the stage, swinging his legs while chatting with nearby fans. Jungkook wandered toward the band, borrowed a guitar for a few playful chords, then returned it with a grateful bow. The atmosphere felt less like celebrities preparing for a show and more like friends enjoying music together. Then one fan shouted from the audience, "Share the mic again." The entire section erupted in laughter. Jimin immediately covered his face. Jungkook pretended not to hear. The members absolutely heard. Jin pointed toward them with the biggest smile imaginable, encouraging the crowd to cheer even louder. Hoseok clapped dramatically, while Taehyung leaned against a speaker laughing at everyone's reactions. Finally, Jungkook gave in. He walked one step toward Jimin and raised his microphone halfway between them. The audience screamed. Before anyone could get too excited, he pulled it back with a mischievous grin. Jimin looked completely betrayed. Everyone laughed. That playful fake-out became another highlight of the afternoon. It perfectly captured their chemistry during rehearsals. Comfortable, spontaneous, and full of timing that didn't need explanation. As the final sound levels were completed, the audio director announced one last vocal check through the production speakers. Each member sang short phrases while technicians monitored balance across different seating sections. When it was Jimin's turn, his replacement microphone worked flawlessly. He finished the note successfully. Then, without missing a beat, he turned toward Jungkook and proudly held up his microphone like a trophy. Jungkook applauded him with exaggerated enthusiasm. The audience joined in. It felt like celebrating the world's smallest victory. But sometimes those are the happiest ones. Fans leaving Soundcheck couldn't stop smiling. Long before the official concert began, they already had a favorite memory to tell everyone waiting outside. Not because of fireworks or surprise songs, but because kindness often shines brightest in ordinary situations. Hours later, as the stadium prepared for the evening show, staff reset every piece of equipment. Cables were organized, batteries replaced, microphones checked repeatedly to guarantee flawless performances. Somewhere among those carefully tested microphones sat the replacement that had quietly ended one of the sweetest little incidents of the tour. Yet many fans secretly agreed on one thing: they almost preferred the broken one. Because without that tiny malfunction, they never would have witnessed two voices naturally finding the same microphone. There's an interesting lesson hidden inside moments like this. Live performances remind us that connection isn't measured by perfect technology. Microphones amplify voices, but they can't create warmth on their own. That came entirely from the people holding them. Jimin never looked frustrated. Jungkook never looked inconvenienced. They simply adapted together. And somehow, that simplicity made the interaction unforgettable. As videos and fan accounts spread after the event, people described the same feeling over and over again. They weren't talking about vocal technique or stage production. They were talking about instinct, about noticing someone across a stage, about walking over without being asked, about making room beside you without making it feel like a sacrifice. Those little gestures are easy to overlook. Unless you happen to be watching closely, and fans always watch closely. Back inside our imaginary replay of that afternoon, the image almost freezes like the final frame of a movie. Jimin laughing with his head slightly lowered, Jungkook holding one microphone between them, both of them leaning in as the stadium fills with cheers that arrive louder than the music itself. No dramatic headline could ever compete with the quiet charm of that picture. Sometimes the biggest moments begin with the smallest technical problem, and sometimes one microphone is more than enough for two voices. Thank you, JikookVerse family, for spending this unforgettable story with us. If you enjoyed reliving this beautiful moment from Rogersstadium in Toronto, don't forget to support JikookVerse by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with fellow Jikook fans who love these heartwarming stage stories. Until next time, keep your hearts warm, keep your playlists loud, and we'll see you in the next video here on JikookVerse.